Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. And I have to tell you right now that I am an idiot and I forgot to charge my microphones. So there might be a lot of interference and weirdness going on with the sound today, and I apologize for that. I hope you guys can hear me all right. But if not, let me know. I'll see if maybe doing the in laptop settings are better than the in-camera settings. We are going to have two different sounds like we used to back in the day. Like I said, I accidentally forgot to charge my mics today. So they're completely dead, and so I have like no transmitter, and like yeah, the recorders are a little bit on the low side already, so I apologize. Can hear you, but sounds far away. May have to project a bit. Okay, I will do my best to project. Is this a little bit better? I mean, I can project my voice a little bit further than, my normal speaking voice. Hopefully that's a little bit better. I will do my best. Right now the sound is coming from the main camera, but soon it will be coming from the other camera, which is over there. Hopefully, we don't get too much interference from the cars outside. Yeah, that's better? Alright, cool. If we start getting too much interference from the street outside, because I live on a busy street, but it's rather hot in here, and so I thought that I would open the garage door, but if there's too much sound interference, I will close that. We'll see how this works. Okay. So today we are going to be continuing the, on our, what is it? What am I doing? I'm making a coal forge. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit tired today. I'm not entirely sure why. It's not like I did anything crazy yesterday or anything. I don't know. I just feel exhausted today for no reason. But anyway, like I said, we are going to continue working on our coal forge today. Where we left off, I was kind of setting it up so that we could start welding the railings onto the forge pan. And we had an awful crash, and, I just couldn't get us back stable again. So hopefully, fingers crossed, and, knock on wood, we get a pretty stable stream today. I mean, I'm already scuffed because I don't have my sound. So, I apologize for that greatly. I will do my best. Okay, so let me ask you this. Is it going to be better if I do... Is this sound any better, or is the previous sound better? Because right now I have the internal mic on the laptop giving me sound, whereas before it was the camera sound. It's Friday disguised as a Monday. Been there. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, is it better to have the laptop's internal microphone, or is it better to have the on-camera mics? Is there a difference? I mean, I'm not sure. We might get stable. Camera sound is more clear. All right, let's switch these. Okay, let's turn up the capture card. Laptop mic sounds kind of muddy. Okay, well, I've kind of turned up the on-camera mics a little bit. Hopefully, it works out for us. Most of what we're going to be doing today is a bit of welding, so a lot of what I'm talking, or when I'm talking, will probably, be between weld beads. I can only weld for about 7 minutes before I have, during my duty cycle, And a duty cycle, basically, it's how long you can do a continuous bead on your machine. So this is my machine over here. This is a 140 amp variable flux core welder. So it works very similarly to a MIG welder. And so a MIG welder, it has gas. It's got like an argon shielding gas so that you can maintain clean welds. Well, this guy right here has flux inside of the hollow of the wire, so that's how it keeps its wire clean. But I can only weld for about 7 minutes continuously before I have to stop welding and wait about 10 minutes for it to cool down a little bit. So let's see. So I've got this set up already, and I'm kind of trying to make sure that I've got, you know, I should be able to kind of stand like this and weld, and then you guys will kind of see my back in the main camera, but we'll be over here on the camera too. So if I stand here to weld, you guys should be able to see me doing the weld. But I will be blocking the main camera. So I think that's how this is going to work. Okay. So first things first, when you are welding, you kind of have to, you know, get the ground. And so this machine has 2 leads on it. This one right here, it's the skinnier one. This is the ground. This helps complete the circuit. And then this is the weld gun, where the weld bead comes from. So in order for the weld to actually follow through onto this piece of material, I actually have to clamp this guy onto a piece of metal, whether it be the piece of metal that I am welding or a piece of metal that it is sitting on. And that's why I love this table. I can actually clamp right onto the table, and this will ground the entire piece as long as it's on the table. So what we're going to do, now that we've got the ground there, I'm going to stick this right here. And then we're kind of going to talk a little bit about my welding helmet. So, you know, when you're welding, you need a good welding helmet, you know, otherwise you're going to sunburn your eyeballs, and that's never a good thing. It's very similar to, you know, when they tell you to be careful looking at the, you know, a solar eclipse. It's kind of that same brightness. So they tell you to use, you know, the glasses for your solar eclipse, or you can also use a welding shield. And so this is my welding shield. It gets kind of dusty, dirty. But yeah, I think this is like a, what is it? A 10-15 shield, something like that. It's a pretty dark shield. This is actually a flip down shield. You can get 2 types of welding helmet. This one is, you know, the manual flip down shield. And then there's also another kind, which is over here. Let me go grab it real fast. This guy over here is a self-darkening shield. And so if I put this on, I could actually see my weld while, you know, my helmet is down. And then there is a battery in here, and it will auto darken this shield when I strike the arc. The reason I'm not going to be using this helmet today is because the battery in this guy is dead. So it won't actually darken. And, you know, I need a good dark shield so I don't injure my eyes. So we're going to do the manual flip down shield. Some people actually prefer the manual flip down shields, and the reason that they do is because there's always a tiny fraction of a second that between the arc starting and the darkening on that shield, and you can actually over time hurt your eyes quite a bit with a self-darkening shield. So, you know, a lot of people actually like using, you know, the manual flip downs. So this kind of sits up here like so, and then nod my head and it flips down. All right, how we doing? Okay, so I've got this already set up and I think it's gonna be all right, but I'm gonna do a couple little bit of test tacks to kind of make sure that I've got my welding settings properly on here. And from there, we'll see what happens. We'll get this frame all nice and welded on here. Okay, so let me take a drink real fast. Projecting my voice like this takes a little bit of extra, I don't know, zhuzh from my vocal cords, so I'm gonna need to drink a little bit further. In about an hour, I think that I might take a short break and go into the house and see if my mics have charged enough so that I can put those in there, because it'll be a lot easier for you guys to hear me. So help me remember that. It is currently 1:45, so we'll try at, you know, it's 1:45. We'll try at 2:45. And that's Central Time, I guess. So, yeah. Alright. So, darken the filter. We'll see. Okay. I have just changed the camera. And, let's see, I'm going to on this guy. And we're going to kind of try and see how well this goes. Alright. Other safety pieces of equipment that I need are welding gloves. I usually only use a left-handed glove. Really, you should use both. But I mean, I barely ever get burns on my right hand because it's the one holding the gun. And if I've got material like coming on or about, I guess the left-handed glove, and when I have material that's on the right-handed glove, you know, that's not good because this guy's plastic. Okay, let's see if this is gonna work right. I'm going to start right here and we're going to weld this like little corner. We're going to just do a little tack. Alright, you guys ready? It helps when you turn the welder on, guys. It helps when you turn the welder on. There we go. Let's try this again. Ready? The paint that's coming off of the frame a little bit. Looks like we're doing pretty good. I don't see any burn through, and that's what we're looking to see. So now I'm going to take this corner right here. Hopefully you guys can see that. Yeah, hopefully you guys can see that and it's not too terribly like in your face. I'm going to go right here and try this corner. We'll see what happens here. Alright, y'all ready? Whew. Alright, and it's all nice and tacked. We've got a little more of a gap here that we're going to have to take a look at a little bit later. Right now what we're doing is we're kind of just tacking this so that we have it all nice and ready that this is really nice and tight on there. So, now that we've got those two, we're going to set up our last weld. Or, I mean, I guess our last two welds. So I need to put this guy on the front of here, right here. And you guys can't really see me very well on this side. Can you? No, you can't. Okay. So I'm going to actually, I think I might bring this whole thing a little bit this way. So maybe you guys could be able to see me a little bit better. Push this chair in. And that one can go, I don't know, outside for now, I guess. So I can kind of work a little bit. Alright, let's see. What do I got? It's a little bit too forward, I think. So we're going to take this, move it back there, and move this whole thing over here. Alright. And I think you guys can see me on that side. Alright, cool. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to refocus the main, or like this camera over here, the close-up camera. That way you can kind of see and it focuses. Right now it's not really in focus, but now it will be. Maybe I need to pull it back just a hair. Alright, I think that's going to be a little bit easier for you guys to see. Alright, there we go. Okie doke. Alright, I think that looks pretty nice. As you can tell, camera 2 is a little bit on the dark side. And the reason that camera 2 is a little dark is because I've got a filter on there to make sure that the sensor stays good and clean and doesn't break on me. The intense light of the welder, it has a tendency to blow out the sensor. There's just too much light coming in. Alrighty. Let's see here. Okay, so I need to put this guy on the front here. And instead of doing it this direction, I want to do it upside down. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to make sure that I can lay pieces of steel flat into the fire pot. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to clamp this in place using these lovely clamps. So this is going to be interesting. We'll do the best we can with this. This is where another, a pair of hands would be great. All right. You might be a little bit too close. I don't know if you guys can see me. I guess you can. Once I've got one of these guys on here, then the other one's going to be easy as I'll get out to get on. Alright. Let me take a look underneath just to make sure that I've got them in place correctly and all nice and lined up. Alright. Let's grab the other clamp, which I believe it might be on the floor maybe. I'm not sure where it went. Let me look for it real fast. What did I do with it? There were two of them. I know that. Oh, the other one's hanging over here. Ebenezer, protect your eyes, protect your cameras. Yes. So what's happening here is I am using my body to block the camera that you guys are looking at right now. And then I have a really dark filter on my close-up camera. So you guys should be able to see the welding, but it shouldn't damage my camera. So yes, definitely need filters for my cameras. Alright, so we're setting up this weld. And then once it's all nice and set up, we'll weld it in place, and then we'll take this sheet right out of here. And we'll continue welding with this whole thing upside down. Alright. If I start over here, I kind of body block it a little bit. I might actually put the cap on this one while I'm on so that just to make sure that I'm body blocking that. Or that I'm blocking out the light. So, we're going to go over here. And then I'm going to do that. Just 1 second, I'm just finishing setting this weld up and my cameras. And then we'll be good to go. What are you using for a filter? A loose piece of smoked glass. No, I'm actually using a variable ND filter. This is a professional quality filter that we bought specifically to kind of save the camera lens. My partner is a professional videographer for a news station, so he's really apt on a lot of this stuff. He's really good at it. Alright, I'm going to start over here, and we're going to do this corner, and then we're going to come over and we're going to do this corner over here. Can you guys see? Let me look real fast to see if you guys can kind of see that. Let me push this over just a hair. Maybe you guys can see it a little bit better. My hand goes here. Yeah, I think you guys can see pretty well. And I normally have a better microphone setup too, but today I forgot to charge it because I'm a smart streamer. Alright. You guys ready? Let's do this. Maybe it would help if I could, nod this down. And you know what? The other thing that I forgot to do was turn on the welder. Welder on, yes! Mahalo, you've got this. You've got this. Alright, let's try this again. And I also have to say that I'm kind of a terrible welder. So, I'm not amazing at this. Alright. It is very dangerous to kind of be kneeling like this when you're welding. So, do as I say, not as I do a little bit about this. Let's do another tack. Alright. Whew. Okay, so nice and tacked for the moment. I've done plenty of practice welds with the welder off, yeah. Okay. Let me change views, but let me take the lens cap off first. Okay. So now we have tacks on all 4 of these corners. These ones are still going to be hot. These ones here are going to be a little bit on the cooler side. I'm going to take the ground off, and I'll put some welding gloves on here so we can kind of turn this whole pan over. We are going to focus in on these corners here. It looks like this corner kind of overlapped a little bit. I think it'll be all right though. This corner is real nice and together. That one has a little bit of a gap. So we're gonna have to pay careful attention to that. This one's lined up pretty darn well. So I think our major problem corners are gonna be this corner and maybe this corner, but I think we'll be all right. Yeah, I think that this is going to be okay because we're looking for some structure, but we're not really looking to be pretty. This is just going to be a coal forge pan, so it's not like a piece of furniture where it needs to be really beautiful everywhere. Okay, so now I'm going to put this in the center of the pan. This is our ground clamp, and because this pan, the bottom of the pan is sitting right on, clamped onto, you know, this guy, and it's all nice and welded over here, it should ground the entirety of the piece that we're welding. So I'm thinking that we're going to start over on this side over here, and then we'll probably move over here and there and there. But I think we're going to do all right. Let's see. Let me take a drink real fast, and then we'll start working on this. Alrighty. It looks like I need to refocus the main camera so you guys can kind of see everything. Now you should be able to see all around it. I'm gonna restart my clip. As I said, it's a little on the dark side because I've got a nice filter on that. Now I'm going to put the lens cap back on my wide camera. Okay, good to go on all of that. Let's grab our left-handed glove. Welcome in, Sandwich. How do you say over there? A grinder and paint make me the welder I ain't, right? Exactly. And I mean, you know, a camera and a microphone don't make me a videographer, you know. Today I totally forgot to charge my microphone, so, you know, my sound's a little iffy today. Hopefully that's the only scuff I've got going on today. But let's see what we can do. Alright, we're going to start with this corner over here. And I think we should be good to go. You guys ready? Let's do this. Let's see if I even made it. I did! Woohoo! I could barely see that line where I needed to weld, so I thought I might have missed it, but I think I did alright. It's
a good, or that's a penetrated bead, and that's all I really need. All right. So we are gonna move over, and I think we're gonna do this corner right here. So let's do this. Looks like we only got partial penetration over here. We burned a little bit, so I'm going to need to put another bead right around here. So we'll wait for that to cool down just a hair, and then we will try that again. It is semi-structural. It's alright. It's not my prettiest weld ever. A penetrated bead, like a soaked wasp. Yeah, a bead, as in a bead of weld? I guess I'm not entirely sure how to explain that. I'm sorry. Alright, now that that's cooled just a little bit, we're going to try and do a bead right next to it. We'll see what we can do. Let's try this again. Alright. Woohoo! Looks alright. I mean, it's ugly, but, you know, it looks like it penetrated right. Cheap viewers, huh? Alright, I'm going to do a little bit of admin stuff real fast. So we're going to do this. And I am going to band this spot real fast. Oops. Let's see if I can do that. Or maybe I can't, I don't know. It's being dumb. There it goes. It's being slow. I don't think you guys can see this bot. But I've got a bot in my chat. So I need to ban it real fast. Where is the... There we go. Alright, cool. Okay. Looks like, I think, within the next 30 minutes, I'm going to try and see if I can't get, or if my mic is charged enough to set it up so that you guys can hear me a little bit better. But yeah, we're going to continue doing these next two welds. We're going to do this one right here, and we're going to do this one right here as our next two. Like I said, this one has a bit of a gap, so we're going to have to take good care of that. We might actually use the plate and weld that in with our weld just so that we don't end up burning through. And we'll see what happens. We're going to turn this over once those two are done, and we're going to start tacking the sheet inside of the frame. Not exactly hi-fi, but mostly well understandable. Oh, the sound isn't bad. Okay, well that's good. I'm glad it's not bad. Like I said, I was a little bit worried because I forgot to charge my microphone. So, yeah, sound is a little bit iffy. It's coming straight through the cameras. So, yeah. Okay. Let's see. Those welds are set up pretty well, so we're going to try this again. Oh wait, I guess there's an ad incoming. I can kind of see that now. That was a weird noise. I don't know, there was a weird pop, but it's alright. Yeah, audio is good if you don't sound like you're in or it just doesn't sound like you're in a sound booth. Perfectly clear. Alright, that makes sense. And I'm glad you guys can hear me. Yeah. I'm planning on kind of doing a voiceover for the YouTube video for this anyway, because I forgot to record yesterday, or not yesterday, I guess it was Wednesday's audio. I forgot to hit record on the little microphone. So, I don't know. It is what it is. So, I'm pretty sure that Dagger0815 is not in chat, but they followed me yesterday, so I just wanted to say thank you. You know, I try to thank people who are, you know, join the community or are new to the channel. But yeah, they joined yesterday, so thank you so much for that follow. Alright. Let us switch cameras and do some more welding. Oh wait, we've got an ad in progress. I forgot, did I not just say that there was an ad in progress? I did. I'm going to put that there. And then I'm going to wait just a second to start that weld. We're going to bring everything over so that we're ready to start the weld when the ad ends. So yeah, we're going to do this side right here. And from there, we're going to do that side over there. Then we'll flip it over. Alrighty, let's do this. The thing there, or the collet, that's what we call it. We call it a collet. I'm going to move our clamp a little bit over so that I don't get it caught in the bead and melt the plastic. Alright. So we're going to do our best with this big old gap here. Alright. I think I might come over here like so. Let's try this. We're going to end the weld here. And it looks like I completely missed the gap. My welding helmet is pretty darn dark, so I can't really see all that well. Maybe if I come over here, I should be able to see a little bit easier. We'll try this all over again. We're going to start in this corner. Let's try this. Alright, we're going to stop for a second. We've got a good bead going in between the gap, but we need to make sure that that we don't end up burning through by making this real nice and hot. So every few millimeters, we're going to have to stop, wait for it to cool, and then we'll start again. Alright, let's try again. Material there, material that wasn't there to begin with, and so that's kind of why we need to make sure that we're stopping to let this cool so it creates that material. This is definitely not something that, you know, the official welding books will tell you to do. It's really less structural than, you know, you want to get when you're doing this as a profession. But it works for what we're doing here. Alright, let's go again. Alright, and that's the end of that. Okay. So we're going to start setting up for our next set of welds. There we go. Okay, so we have all four of the undersides completely welded together. So now we actually have an official frame for our coal forge. I need to put this over here. So the next thing that we need to do is take the clamps off and flip this whole thing over. I want to tack in the sheet into the frame. So that's going to be our next job. Not bad. I seldom can fill gaps with one pass. Yeah, I got pretty good at it because I'm really bad at cutting angles. And I'm really good at, you know, deciding that I want to make frames in my furniture back in, you know, when I was healthy and was making lots of furniture. So I actually got pretty decent at it, which is, you know, it's a thing to be semi-proud of, I guess. I don't claim to be a good welder. I'm definitely not a professional welder, but I get by. All right. So now we've got our plate down in here. So we're going to start doing some tacks. We don't need these clamps, so I'm going to get rid of them real fast. We're going to be using gravity to kind of hold these in place. Once we got these good and tacked in here, the next thing that we're going to do is we are actually going to completely change the setup for the stream. So that might take me a few minutes to do. Well, actually, scratch that because I still need to do some cuts for the legs. So once we get this sheet tacked in here, we're going to start working on the legs. And the legs are, you know, the next major part of these. We need to do four, not two, 4 legs. And they're all going to be angled, triangular V-shaped legs like so. I've kind of got a little bit of a drawing here of it. So we're going to put them at a 45-degree angle on these corners. So these are going to be 33 inches tall. So we're going to go 45 and 45, so 90, or I guess 35 and 35, so 70 inches long. So I've got some bar stock underneath the main camera. I'm going to pull that out and we're going to cut 4 of them. In order to get that bend halfway down, we're actually going to use the forge because these are 5/8 inch square stock bars and I'm not strong enough to bend them cold. Now, there are a lot of guys out there who are buff, big buff guys who, you know, would be able to bend these cold. I'm just not one of them, and I'm a blacksmith, so why not use heat to help me out? So that's going to be, you know, the next job after we cut those legs. We're going to bend them using the forge. Goodness gracious. It is warm today, man. So warm today. I would totally turn on the fan, but I'm afraid that it would blow out my voice and you guys couldn't hear me. So I'm just going to suffer and with a slight bit of complaining. All right. So we have turned this over, and like I said, we are trying to tack the plate in. So I am going to replace the ground, and we're going to start tacking these in. We want to put in several tacks on each side. It looks like this one is kind of bumping up a little bit. You guys may be able to see it from over here, but you definitely won't be able to see it on that view. So I'm going to have to, I think I'm going to start on this side, then we're going to hold this down and do this side. And then we'll probably do this side last because we already have a few tacks in the corners holding this way down. So yeah, that is the plan. Welcome in, Bluesy. What? How did you do that? Replace the ground once you were standing on it. I know, right? I'm totally standing on the ground, you know? Maybe, you know, I could towally replace the ground, you know, if I were doing like concrete or something, right? You know, with my little trowel or I guess my smoothing trowel. You know, you got those nice cleats. That's probably how I did it. But yeah, this is my welding ground, and so because my my welding table is metal, it's steel, so I can put the ground onto the table instead of onto the work. Sometimes, or like when you are, you know, when I'm welding on the ground, I kind of have to put my ground on the piece itself, and it can be a little bit obnoxious when you're kind of trying to hold things up higher. So, you know, this works. All right. So, we're going to do the thing again. Oh, you meant the ground wire. Yes, I did. I meant the ground wire. We're doing a little bit of welding. We just put our frame together. So these are, you know, 4 pieces of angle iron, 90-degree angle iron stock that I got off of a bed frame. And I mean, I think you guys were, you know, you were here. But yeah, we tacked them together, or we ran a bead below them. So now I'm going to be tacking the sheet of the plate in here so that it doesn't jostle around when I'm moving when I am moving the coal forge around. I have to actually use the coal forge outside, and because I can't use it in the shop. I don't have I have ventilation, but I don't have the best ventilation for a coal forge. So all that smoke, if I wasn't using it outside, it would build up in the shop. And so I need to be able to move this relatively easily without it falling apart. I know that, I understand, want to weld without grounding, use a torch and a stick. I mean, I could. Theoretically, I could. I am capable of forge welding, but that's totally the point of making this, We gotta get a coal forge so I can do some forge welding. Alrighty. Let's see. I have the lens cap in my hand so I can stick it on that camera. I've got my auto darkener over there. So we're gonna try this. Alright, put the lens cap on. Now we're gonna turn on the welder. And what I do with the gun, it's right here. The gun. My infamous left glove. Alright, so I'm thinking that we're going to put a tack. I think we're going to start about every 2 inches putting a tack in. And we'll see how that goes, and then we're going to do this side. And then we'll do this, like the back edge last. So let's see how this goes, guys. Alright, let's go. Less penetration on the back edge, so we need to be careful of that for our next tack. I'm getting a little less penetration, so I think I'm going to turn up the welder real fast. Got to make sure we're not burning through, but we definitely need some penetration. So let's try this again. The next one. Alright, that's much better. Got a lot better penetration there. Alright, next one. Okay, next. Okay, next one. And one more right here. Alrighty. So we've got all the tacks on that side. So now we're going to do this side. Good, I am a farmer. I weld in the middle of a field, torch and stick. Welding is what I do the most, although I have been known to use a battery and a stick. Interesting. Alright, I'm going to flip this take the ground off, then you guys will be able to see it. There we go. As I do the other side. At least I think you'll be able to see it. Alright. Don't need that guy. But I do need this guy over here. Okay. So we're going to start on this side and we're going to push that, or no, we're going to start this side because it's a little bit raised. You can kind of see it jumping a little bit there. So we're going to tack that down real fast and start over on this side. Let's make sure that we're cool enough that we're not going to be burning our hose. Alright, we ready? No, we're not, because we didn't turn on our welder. One of these days, I will remember. Alright, now we're ready. Let's do this. Okay? Now this one. Okay? Keep on keeping on. And one more in the corner, just for good measure. Alrighty. 2 out of the 3 sides. See, my welding table is a bit sturdier and my grounding wire is always connected to the bottom leg. I don't see why you make it so hard on yourself. Great spot welds. See, I don't claim that I'm a good spot welder. I honestly, I think I'm kind of bad at it, but I do my best. If you're a blacksmith and you're saying that you're good at welding, you're probably lying. Most people, at least. Alright, so we're going to start doing this side right here. And then from there, I'm going to talk a little bit on the wide camera. But I think we're going to do alright. Hey, ya ping. Do they break? The spot welds, that is. I mean, most of the time my spots don't break, and I mean, I feel like that's probably the mark of a good spot weld, but you know, they're never very pretty. Alright, so we're going to do one more shot at this. We're going to do this back edge. And I do have it, it's grounded. We're good to go on that. What is it sitting on? It is not sitting on anything. I think it's actually just a little bit warped. So we'll see if we can't straighten that out in a bit. So let's do these spot welds real fast and let's do this. Here we go. There's that one. Alrighty. Maybe we'll do one in the quarter just for good measure. There we go. Nice, nice. I'm pretty happy with that. Then you are a good spot welder. A grinder and paint. Make for the welder you ain't. Yeah. How long has that camera been out of focus? I am so sorry, guys. Come on. Let me take a look at this for a bit. Sorry. What's happening? There. Haha. Alrighty. Let's take that off and we'll go to this camera. You're okay. Camera went blurry just a short while ago. Okay, cool. I'm very glad. Alright, so now we have the full pan all spot welded all the way around. What I do with it's on the ground. Goodness gracious. So there we go. We have a forge pan and it's all nice and put together. And so that is all good to go. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to take a look at some legs. And I can see clearly now, yes, you know, the blurriness is gone. I really hate that camera sometimes decides that it just wants to like lose focus or focus on something else random. It's annoying. But yeah, okay, so we have the whole thing spot welded around, and I don't think that I want to do a full bead all the way around. I think spot welds are fine for our application. So the next thing, like I said, that we're going to do is we're going to focus on some legs. So this is our design, and we're going to do 4 of these folded legs. They're V shapes. And I think giving us the V shape is going to give us a little bit more stability. We're going to be able to kind of cross these legs if we need to. And just like give ourselves a good sturdy base. So we can also tilt those out. And so all of the weight that we stick inside of here will be supported by these legs. And I have 5/8 inch square stock. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to set up over there back at the forge area so that we can kind of so that you can we can kind of heat up the center of the legs so that we can bend them. I guess we're gonna cut them first though. I keep forgetting I need to cut them first. Leg day. Ray never misses leg day. I try not to miss leg day. You know, sometimes I feel like I never miss arm day, really. You know, with all of my forging that I have to do every day, I feel like I never miss arm day. All right. So we've got an ad incoming. And I need to pull out 4 bars of stock. So that's what I'm gonna do. And the bars of stock are actually under the camera that you guys are looking at. So I am going to pull them out from under the camera. It's gonna take me a couple minutes. And then we're gonna put them on this side so we can cut them using the chop saw. Point. Yes. Always, always with the arms day. Let's see if I can grab these without jostling the camera any. And you can kind of see them as I'm moving them around a little bit. Gotta make sure that they don't sit on top of my cord spaghetti. Ouch. So these guys are full bars of 5/8 inch stock. And so this is kind of how I get them from the steel supply. They come in 5/8 inch bar stock. And they come in actually 20 feet lengths. So I haven't done the math on that to give you a metric measurement. But yeah, these are, I have them cut in half so that I can so I can fit them in my standard truck bed. 3. Here comes number 4. All right. Oh. What happened? Oh, I know what happened to it. I was gonna say, I swear I bought more than this. Alright. So, I buy these in 20-foot lengths from the steel supply. And have them cut in half into 10-foot lengths. So I'm going to put this over here. Maybe, if I can get it to stay. Mic batteries. Oh, I can totally take a look to see if my mic batteries are up. Okay, you guys can't see the bars. So these right here are the bars. I don't know if you can see them or not now. But these are 5/8 inch stock. They're about 10 feet long. Like I said, they do live underneath of the wide camera. So I apologize. I did have to pull them out from under the camera and move them over. They are now on the floor in front here. So I need to move them up over back here eventually. Stay stock, stay. Good stock, good. Exactly. That's how it works. You have to talk to the inanimate objects, and they listen to you. And sometimes they obey, and sometimes they just tell you to screw off, But you know, when you ask them nicely, you know, please and thank you, sometimes they actually listen, right? All right. Let's see. I need to move a few of these things over here. We're gonna unplug the welder for the moment because the cord is kind of getting in the way. I got some outdoor chores to finish up. Good job with the welds. Good luck with the leg bends. See you next time. Later, mahalo. Thank you so much for joining in. Have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. Goodness. All right, so I need to move a little bit of this stuff so that we can actually move the stock so we can cut it here. So this is actually the first time that I have cut a piece or like a full section of stock since I moved the shop backwards. And so in theory, I should be able, or I have enough room that I should be able to cut the whole 10-foot bar. But I mean, I don't know for sure. I might have to, you know, work on something else for a bit and move this when my partner comes. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. So I've got my tape measure here. And let's see if I can't find a piece of soapstone on the floor. Here's a piece right here. So we're going to take a look to see what size these, or we can mark to see if we can't cut the bars to the correct size. So according to this, we need 70 inches imperial. So if I mark this, theoretically, this should be 70, or it should be way more than 70 inches, because this is 10 feet. So we've got 70 right here. We're going to mark it. Right there. Now, we're going to see if we can't figure out a way to get this under the chop saw. I'll put that there for now. Okay. If I move this guy like so, then I can move it around here. Alright, looks like it is just long enough. But it's not wanting to sit parallel or level with the plate on the chop saw. So I'm going to need something to knock this up. And, what I do with my thingy that I normally use, it might actually end up over there. I'm not sure. How about this guy? Does this guy work? It's a little too short. This is an angle clamp, and you can use this for welding 90-degree angles. So you get your two bars that you're gonna weld, and clamp them down, and then you can do your tack welds to weld those in there. This is a really amazing clamp. Is this guy gonna be tall enough? Pretty much. We'll stick it right there. That looks pretty level. Alright. Okay. And now we're ready to cut this. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tiny break to see if I can't get my microphones, if they'll work. So give me just a second. I'm going to put you on a be right back screen real fast. And I'm going to go check on my microphones. Hopefully that's not stream. And we're streaming blacksmithing. What day is it? It's like, I think it is, oh, it's the 30th. Hey Yankee, welcome in. Welcome, welcome. Alright. Oh, my Be Right Back screen, it kind of did not refresh itself. Testing, 1, 2, testing, 1, 2. Is that even working? I don't know. It seems to be working there. But I don't know if that's working. Come on. Be a nice thing. It has frozen. There it is. Testing.
All right, so theoretically, you guys should be able to hear me a little bit better now. We hear you the same as before. Let's get rid of... Okay, we have an echo. Yeah, we should have an echo. All right, how about now? Is it better now? Wait a second. I think I still have the capture card up. There. Now we should be able to hear me a little bit better now. Now the mic is live. Yay! Okay. Better. Okay. So theoretically, it should be a lot better. So yeah. I really thought the Be Right Backs would be a little bit longer than... I think maybe I needed to turn it on to repeat instead of just going through one time. I will, keep that in mind. But I don't normally actually use a Be Right Back all that often. So, because I try to stick around, the whole time. All right. Once more into the breach. Let's put this in. Maybe. I'm going to stick this right there. And then my partner just got home. So he's totally going to be like, why are you putting your wire on now? And it's because, I will have to admit my screw up. Because, I screwed up this morning. I screwed up this morning and forgot to charge the lav mic. So we're putting it on now that it's charged. All right. Testing. That should work too. All right. Excellent. Okie doke. We are good to go. Let's stick this in my pocket so it's not dragging all over the floor. All right. We're back in business now. I'm so sorry about all of that, guys. I will be a little bit more prepared come Monday. Okay. So like I said, we've got our forge pan all nice and taken care of. So now we need to cut our legs. So I have the first one measured. It's on the chop saw. And so now I need to grab my headphones and my mask. So here's my mask. That usually goes on first. You know what? My door closed for some reason, but that's all right. I got the garage door open. All good. Well, thanks for, going along with all of my slop today. We got some coolness going on, though. We got to weld all of our tacks on, and, that's kind of cool looking, right? Okay. So now that I have all my safety equipment, you know, ears, breath, and eyes, you know, hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil, we're good to go. Let's cut this guy. You know what? It helps when you plug it in. All the scuff today. There we go. Much mo better. And this is going to be a really good piece of scrap that we can use at a later date. And I'm going to put it right down here. So this is our first leg. So now this, we're actually going to fold this in half, and we are going to put it kitty corner on our forge pan here. So I'm going to actually put this over there, or somewhere. I'm going to put it over there. That way it's on that side of all of the gear, and I will be able to, you know, use it or get it over there when I need to heat it. All right, so next one. All right. There's the next bar. It's going to be a little bit on the awkward side to kind of pull these because they're on the floor and I've got a lot of stuff going on around here. A lot of cables and stuff that I'm trying to avoid. So I will do my best. All right. Tape measure, soapstone. And once again, we're going for 70 inches. "70 inches is right here." And my other bar is in the way. Of course it is. Ugh. We're going to put that over there. Okay. So now we're going to line this guy up. Leg number 2. 2 legs. All right, 2 more legs to go. Alrighty, make our measurement. And that measurement is right here. I almost feel like this is kind of boring, and I wish I'd have cut these prior to starting the stream. I'm sorry, guys. I will know better for next time I do fabrication. I think this is better for like a montage. You know? I could do a montage, maybe for YouTube or something. Leg number 3. This is the kind of stuff that I do before I start stream. Normally, I have all of my material all nice and cut and ready to go. That way you guys don't have to wait on me. And I should have done that today. I apologize for not doing it. I thought it would be good content, and like I said, I think it's a little bit on the boring side. But I feel like this whole thing is kind of an experimental stream kind of thing. I'm not sure that fabrication works quite as well as blacksmithing does in the way of as a stream content. So I will keep that in mind. Maybe I will do YouTube videos for fabrication from here on. It's a little bit less social and a little bit more, you know, tedious for some of this. All right, so we're doing our next measurement, which is right here. It works for me. Well, that's good. I'm glad people are, you know, enjoying it as much as they can. All right. Maybe it'll kind of be like an audience choice kind of thing. You know, do you guys want to see the fabrication or would you rather not? Let's move this so that it props it up properly. And awesome. Left leg. Beautiful, beautiful. Alrighty. Now I can get rid of this mask. And the headphones, and I can hear myself a little better. Okay. So we have 4 of these guys. These are going to be our legs. Like I said, we are going to fold them in half. And they are pretty thick, so it's going to take a lot of effort for me to actually, you know, bend them. So heat is the best way to, you know, heat or leverage is the best way to bend a bar of steel. So because I don't feel like I have enough leverage. My bending bars are they're kind of a little bit scrawny. I don't normally bend something this thick with them. So I think heat is the way to go for this. So what I need to do is I need to bring us over to the forge. And then we can kind of reset up a little bit. We're kind of on the last leg here. We are kind of on the last leg here, you know? Okay, so I need to be a little bit on the careful side here. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this camera. I apologize for the, the fishing, or, the boat, the movement. Trying to, oh, and now you can just straight up see the other camera. That's funny. So that is totally the filter that I was using. You can definitely see it there. And you could also see that the door that I normally use, or that it was closed. So you guys saw that too, I guess. Let's open that up now that we, it's easier to move things. So let's see. Normally, this guy sits kind of over here, right next to the camera. Right now, we still have that filter on though. Okay, and then I'm going to turn the light so that we get the brightness that we're normally used to over there. Slowly, ever so slowly. This guy usually goes over there. And now it's time to turn the laptop around so I can actually see you guys. See you. Don't put me in the forge. I'll do my best not to. Oh, you know what? You guys can kind of see the door open like really badly. I gotta figure out what am I doing with that. What are you sitting on? A battery. Now the stream sees itself and the universe ends due to a paradox. Exactly, man. I'm making a paradox here. Okay. Let us see. Let's see if I can't figure out a better place to put the camera so that you guys aren't seeing the door be open completely. I think you're normally maybe over here a little bit. Or maybe it's that you're further back or forward or something. I think you might actually be further forward usually. But I'm still not quite done with the welder, so I'm going to leave you there for a moment. And now, oh wait, these aren't the ones I need. I was going to pick up pieces of stock, and those aren't those pieces of stock that you guys need, or that I need. You can see a lot of weirdness. This is my, yeah, I'm sorry. The view is a little bit awkward today, but that's all right. I think we're all right. This one. That way I can use this guy right here to lean our pieces of stock on. Rah! So I'm not really actually planning on doing much in the way of welding these guys on today. So if we can manage to get them bent, we're probably going to end the stream there, because I'm just not set up right now to kind of, spin the whole world again. So yeah. Okay, so we've got an ad starting, and I've got one more piece of stock that I need to move over. So let me go grab that real fast. And then I also need you. My headphones. Okay. You can go right there. You guys can go over here for the moment. And this is like all of this like nonsense is why I actually spent a lot of time setting up on what was it, Monday, to kind of make sure that I had a decent setup so that you didn't have to watch me redo the setup. So I apologize. Put that over there for the moment. This is my industrial fan. Yeah. Old joke. Two crazy scientists. I did not know what to give you for Christmas, so I used the time machine to travel forward to Christmas, and look at what I gave you. A pair of socks and a paradox. Thanks. Excellent. That's a great joke. And I mean, you definitely were seeing, you know, inside the stream a bit. When I had the cameras looking at each other, you know? It's a good thing that I didn't have it too terribly, you know, paradoxy-ing itself. Okay. I think I'm all nice and set up. So the next thing that we're actually going to do is I need to reach back behind here and grab out the forge brick. So I usually have this brick on the back side of the forge so that it keeps the heat inside of the forge. And so now, by getting rid of that, I can pass the stock all the way through. So this brick can sit here for the moment. And now we're going to see about passing this all the way through, just to make sure that I can do it. The last thing I want to do is start up the forge and find out that I don't have enough brick moved out of the way. Okay. Looks like I can pass through it pretty easily. So the next thing that we need to do is there enough room behind the forge just to make sure that the heat does not escape and set the wall on fire. There is actually a good 3 feet at least. There's 3 or 4 feet, I guess, between the end of the forge and the wall. And I made sure that there was plenty of gap between the forge and the wall so that if I did have to open up the backside, that it wouldn't set the wall on fire. So in theory, it should be fine. Yeah, I definitely want to make sure that the heat doesn't set the wall on fire. So the next thing that I need to do is I need to pull this out of here. Whoopsie. Okay, and then I need to make another measurement. So I'm going to take the hammer and stick this on there. We're going to switch hammers. And I'm going to grab this guy because I want to make a center punch in the middle of this so I know exactly where I need to bend it. So where is my center punch? Is this my center? No, that's just a hole punch. I know I have a center punch in here somewhere. Where is it? This one, center punch. All right, so I have a center punch and I have a hammer and we need the next thing that we need, the only other thing that we need is our tape measure. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Okay. So now that we got our tape measure, we are going to measure this guy again. If we can hook it. And it is now 70 inches. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put a center punch mark at 35 inches. So I'm going to snap this so that I can just set it right there. Oh, it's screwing up the balance a little bit. Let's put it right there for the moment. And then I'm going to grab this and stick it on here. Whoops. If you wanted to mark 2/3 of the length, you could use you could still use a center punch. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, because I mean, it wouldn't be the center anymore now, would it? Okay, so the 35-inch mark is right there. So you know what? I'm going to grab a piece of soapstone, which there's a piece right here, and mark it with the soapstone first, and then we'll use the center punch. That way I don't like mess around and like miss where I want it to be. Okay, so that can go over there and that can go over there. Now I'm going to take this like so that it can be underneath of, and here we go. All right, we've got a lovely center punch mark there, and just like when we were doing the upset corner, we will be able to see that center punch mark, and we'll be able to bend our bar right there. So we're going to do that to all 4 of the bars. All righty, here's the next one. Isn't it like measure twice, cut once and all that? Exactly. Okay. Maybe I lock it so that it doesn't act like stupid when I'm trying to mark this. Okay, so there is 35 right there. Yay for fabrication, guys! It has been a really long time since I've done fabrication. So now that I have marked in chalk, we're going to go back to the center punch. And we're going to center punch this. And here's another. Okay. And let's not break our chalk. 2 down, 2 to go. Here's another. Do, 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 do. Ugh. Goodness gracious, man. Goodness gracious. Normally, when I do cuts on steel like this, I will take the steel to the angle grinder and I will grind, or not the angle grinder, the bench grinder, and I'll grind the end off. And I have not done that with these guys. And the reason that I haven't done it is because it's going to be a lot easier to grind that flashing off, because there's always a little bit of extra like edge that doesn't quite cut off when you use either an angle grinder or a chop saw. So it's going to be, because these are so long, it's going to be easier to use an angle grinder to get that off. And we'll probably actually do that after we've bent them, because it might fall off as we throw it through the forge. So we'll see if that happens or not, or if we need to do that bend. Or I mean, if we need to do that grind mark. I'm sure we will, because 99% of the time you do. All right. There's the third. One more. This be the last. how will they be bent by 180 degrees? They won't quite be bent to 180 degrees. We're going to create little V shapes. So about yay amount of bend. I only really want a few inches between the two ends because I want the legs to be about 33 inches. And so we added an extra inch on either side. So it might be a little bit short. 33 and 33 is 66. So it's 2 inches extra on each side to kind of differentiate that V. Does that make sense? Did I explain that correctly? I may not have. But yeah, we've added extra length so that we maintain the height that I want by making a V shape. So it's not going to be a total, like where they're touching, it's going to be a V. So it'll be probably 100 and maybe 50 degrees, something like that. And I know I put that over there, so let's do that. Yeah. Okay. Okay, no. All done on those. So in the end, the whole thing will have 8 legs. I mean, so kind of. So basically, it will have 8 sections that are welded to the forge pan and 4 sections that will meet the ground. So, so the bottom at the bottom that touches the ground, it will be 1 bar, and it will be that right at that bend, right? And then when the top of the V, the two bars will be attached to the forge pan. So if I bring the design over, let me grab the whiteboard. So what I'm looking at is, so we've got, this is the leg. This is the shape that it's going to be. It's a V shape, and it's going to be attached here and about halfway to the front and about halfway to the back. So it's going to be like a V-shaped leg, and this is where it's going to be meeting the ground. Yeah, so that's the design. It's kind of like a 1960s leg design. But yeah. And I'll put this over here because I'm going to move it back over there in a few. Oh, the open end of the V will be welded to the frame. Exactly. The open end will be welded to the frame. That way we have the strength of the triangle. And I want to bend them out just a hair so that the corner of each corner of the pan is over top of the foot on each of the legs. So instead of having them go straight down at that angle, it's going to be at a little bit of an angle. So the foot and the corner should theoretically be right above each other. I think I explained that properly. I hope I explained that properly. If the angle of the V is 30 degrees, if I calculate correctly, the height will be, or out of 35 inches, will be 33.8. And that's really about where I want it to be. Because I want it to be, just Because like I said, I'm going to cock the legs out so that the corner is over the corner. And so that should take care of that extra 0.8 inches, theoretically. Now, I'm not amazingly good with, actual numbers in math, but the logic is there. So, alrighty. The next thing that we need to do is stick the first leg through the forge, and then we'll probably start it up. How long have we been going? We've been going for about 2 hours and maybe not. An hour. Oh, we've been going for about 2 hours. All right, cool. I think I get it. Yeah. So it's kind of, so the open end of the V is going to be like, along the railing of the of the forge pan, and then this corner here and this corner here should be, if you drew a line from the floor from this corner to this corner and then to the floor, it should be a 90-degree angle. So yeah, it is a lot easier to show you than tell you, but I'm not amazingly good at drawing, so I'm gonna try it and we'll see what happens. And if it doesn't work right, you guys can laugh at me and help me figure out how to fix it. Because that's what you guys do. You help me fix things, right? Okay. We are going to try to bend at least one of these legs before I have to end the stream. And so that is my goal today. The angle of the legs must be bent outward to reach exactly 33 inches, should then be 12.5 inches. Oh, degrees. Yeah. So that's about where, I want to, and I probably will eyeball it as opposed to, doing it with a protractor. So what I'm planning on doing is I'm actually planning on putting leaving the forge pan on the welding table, which is where we got our height from, and making sure that the forge table is set so that it is level, and then welding the legs to the forge pan while it is sitting on the table. So theoretically, that should work. In theory. I'm out of water. Ugh. There's like a lot of dirt in the bottom of that. Ugh. I absolutely love drinking steel dust. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to start up this forge. So let's do this. Ugh. There we go. Alrighty. We are back to our regularly scheduled programming and blacksmithing, right? Protractor. Okay, I learned another English word today. Yes, protractor. It is like a D-shaped thing that has, well, I'll show you what it is. So this right here is a protractor. So it is shaped like a D, and down here, there is a miniature ruler, right? So it denotes about, I think this one is 6 inches long. And then along this curve, there are angles are denoted, right? So if you want a 90-degree angle, you know, it's labeled 90 degrees right here. If you want 45 degrees, it's labeled right about here at 45 degrees. And, you know, it's like from any number of degrees between 1 and 180. So it's a really nice tool to have. In German, it's a Winkelmesser, angle meter. I mean, you know, I imagine that a lot of other languages, you know, the language is a little bit more intuitive, you know, with those literal translations. All right, this is a nice bending bar, and this one I had set up so that I could bend the chalk holder that we had, so it's got a little bit. So basically how these work is that you stick your piece of material, so you stick a piece of material between the two bars, and then you pull them, and that is what creates the bend. So this one is a small one, and I set it up so that we could use it for the last project that I was working on. So this project, I'm going to set up a different set. So let's see, where's the ones I got? They all sit underneath of here because this is what I use them on. All right, so we're going to use this guy because the 5/8 inch will pass through the two here. So we're going to stick this right here. And this is how we're going to bend it. So I'm hoping that we can get like 2 or 3 of our legs done before the stream ends. That is my goal, at least. Oh, like I said, it's kind of warm in here today, so turning on the forge, you know, it's definitely a lot warmer. So yeah. Let me turn on the camera a bit. I think. There we go. That way I can get a clean view. Maybe I should move this guy. I might want to move this guy. I have another view, which I think is a better view. I think this is about as far as I'm going to be able to get, unless, because my stuff is really tangly right now. Okay, so you can't see. Cool. There we go. Alrighty. Waiting for this to heat up is going to take a little bit of extra time because I have that brick in the back so that it so that it can heat a little bit faster. Now that I don't have that brick in the back, it's not keeping the heat inside as well. So I've got a few directing bricks, but it's still more heat is still escaping. But yeah, we've got plenty of space between the wall and the forge, so I'm pretty happy with that. This is really the first time I've actually used this forge without that brick in the back, so we'll see how long it takes. We might only get to see one of these today, so if that is the case, I will probably do some of these or finish bending these this weekend, and that way we'll be ready to to weld this all together on Monday. We definitely will not get to welding today, regardless. I'm not sure I will finish bending all of these today, so like I said, I will finish the rest of them this weekend. I wonder if I should update my title because I'm not welding anymore today. I mean, I did a little bit of welding, and you know, I think it'll be all right. I think it'll be all right. So it looks like we're getting a little bit of heat on there. It's starting to glow a little bit. But I want it to be real nice and hot because it's going to take me a few minutes to kind of find our center punch mark. And those seconds, those precious seconds, we're going to lose a lot of our heat. So I definitely want to make sure that I get plenty of heat so that we can get a good bend. These guys are on here relatively well, but I want to make sure that we've got plenty of so I want to make sure that it's easy to bend it. It looks like I'm peeking us out a little bit by talking really loudly. I got used to talking really loudly while I was, you know, before I had my mic, my lab mic back. So I think I can just like lower my volume. You know, I think I'm definitely peeking us out a little bit. Next equipment update, temperature resistant camera inside the forge. Ooh, that would be really interesting. But I feel like I'd have to ask NASA for something like that, you know? It'd have to be something that was like, you know, made for, you know, taking pictures of stars or something. I don't know that there's really any, like, that heat resistant of a camera. But I could, you know, we could do our homework. Maybe we could build something. That would be a really interesting piece of technology. I would be very interested in it. There's like some grit that I just feel in my mouth since the last bit from the form or my other water. There's just this like grit. So I'm trying to get rid of it by drinking more water, but it's not working. I know that there are some cameras inside glass melting furnaces. No idea how that works though. That would be so interesting. I wonder. I could probably look something like that up. I wonder how expensive it would be. I mean, I imagine that it would be relatively expensive, to be quite honest. Because, you know, you'd have to have all that heat resistance, you know? But maybe it's less expensive than I think it is, because maybe it's not as nifty of a piece of technology. I mean, could you imagine just like having a GoPro and sticking it inside of a forge? That would be pretty funny. So we have an ad coming up. Take a look at this guy real fast. Shove that back in there. We've got plenty of heat, but I'm going to actually use the ad to kind of judge, or I'm going to allow it to heat through the ad, and then once the ad is over, I will take it out again. I guess it will actually be a hole in the forge furnace with layers of isolating glass, but I do not really know. I mean, it would have to be something. And I mean, I know that they have like, they have transparent aluminum now, and I don't know. But I mean, you'd have to be really careful because it's a glass furnace for a reason, you know? It melts glass, and if you're using glass to kind of, you know, if you're using glass to protect your lens, you know, you'd have to be careful that it didn't melt. So I don't know. Interesting. I've also seen that they've made it like clear or transparent wood recently, and that's an interesting thing. I think it's like a composite, and I find that kind of stuff really interesting. I really enjoy like metallurgy and things like that, and like material sciences. It's kind of my special interest. I mean, I've never actually gone and looked up textbooks and things, but I'm always interested in learning about, you know, metal technology and metal sciences and, you know, material sciences as well. I had an uncle who was a plastic, like the equivalent of a metallurgist, but for plastic. And he did that for a little while until he retired. I thought it would be really interesting work, but he didn't like it, so he retired early. All right. So we're done with our ads for the moment, or at least the timer says we're done with our ads. What was that noise? I don't know. That was weird. Anyway, all right. So I need, okay, so this might take a couple heats because it might take me a little bit to kind of figure out how I want to go about this. I think maybe I want to turn this 90 degrees so that I am not having my bar this direction, because this direction it endangers my laptop. So I think I want to turn it 90 degrees. And because I turned it 90 degrees, I need to check my other camera to make sure it's still in focus real fast. It seems to be. All right. Let's see. Are you guys ready to see me bend this bar? I hope you are. Let's check this out. Let's try and do it. Interesting. Sandwich, is that a video of a camera? All right, I started pulling this out, and there are parts inside the furnace. Interesting. Okay, I started to pull this out, and I realized that I'm gonna need gloves, because in order to balance this correctly, I'm probably gonna want to hold it in places that are gonna be a little bit hot. So let's put some gloves on real fast. We'll see if we can use these. And if we can't, I will probably see about grabbing the partner. Okay. All right, so it's looking like it's going to take a couple tries. All right. All right, I'm going to change the camera view real fast because you and I are going to problem solve. Okay, so we have lost our heat. You can kind of see how we've lost our heat right here, right? It's pretty dark and pretty black. So our next issue is that I don't think I can get this to pass all the way through. So we are partially bent. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to bend this in one go, or we're gonna have to do this over the weekend so that I can have help from my partner. So I'm gonna stick this through the hardy maybe. Nah, I'm just gonna put this like so. Can't you use a blowtorch to heat it back up? See, that is what they want you to believe. And that's totally how it should be done. If I was a smart blacksmith and, I actually had an oxyacetylene torch. But my oxyacetylene torch, I have acetylene, but I don't have oxygen. And the acetylene that I have is like 6 years old, so I don't know how well it will work. So I will have to do a little bit of problem solving for this. And I think what I should do is probably wait for my partner and have him help me. Is propane not enough? It's not that I don't have, or like I do have acetylene, right? Like I said before, I do have it. It's the oxygen that's the problem. You need twice as much oxygen as you need propane or acetylene, and I don't have any oxygen. So if I were to just use my torch, and this is like just a propane torch that I use to start the forge. If I were to use this guy, it wouldn't heat it up enough. It heats up copper well enough, but it just does not give me the heat that I need for the steel. So this one is probably done for the day. I'm gonna have to get my partner to help me with this. So do I have enough? Am I brave enough to try this again? I don't think I am, because I think I think I need to do this over the weekend. Yeah. Because I need to do a little bit more prep and make sure that I can get this done. So I will try and get this done by the end or by Monday, so that I can just weld this together, and then we can also work with the black iron pipe. So I think I'm probably going to end the stream here. Like I said, I've got some problem solving to do. So I want to thank you all for joining me today for our stream. You have been lovely. Thank you for putting up with my stuff today. And I hope to see you on Monday. We will be back Monday. And so, yeah. Then thank you and have a nice day. Yes, have a lovely weekend, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. I had a blast. I hope you had some fun. And I think we're going to raid off. Let's see if there's anybody we can raid to. Alright, so instead of this screen, we are going to turn on this screen. And maybe that will transition. There we go. It did. Alright, so I think we're going to raid off to Lone Mountain. What is he doing today? He's doing a blade show prep. So that sounds interesting. Alrighty. think he's right there, actually. There we go. Let's start the raid. Have a great weekend, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. All right. So problem solving. I have a problem.